Okay, first to the Financial Times. It's leading with football this morning, but it's not about the game, it's about governance. So European football's governing body UEFA is preparing a criminal complaint in Switzerland against FIFA president Gianni Infantino. This stems from a failed controversial plan to sell a stake in the World Cup to private investors, a deal that sought to raise $4 billion by selling a 20% stake in a commercial entity called FIFA Forward Enterprise. Court filings in the US show UEFA is trying to recover documents from Josh Kushner, the brother of Donald Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner, and his investment firm Thrive Capital, which was lined up as the lead investor. So UEFA claims the implied $20 billion valuation of FIFA's commercial rights was absurdly low. Meanwhile, Infantino is still seeking re-election in March, but this legal pressure from UEFA dramatically intensifies calls for fresh leadership. To Pakistan now, and Dawn News is leading with Iran news. So the headline, Iran sets conditions for reopening Strait of Hormuz. So the announcement by Mohsen Rezai, the Secretary of Iran's Supreme National Security Council, marks a pivotal turn in the 2026 Strait of Hormuz crisis by putting conditions in place for the reopening of the waterways, linked to a broader regional ceasefire and US sanctions relief. So Tehran is leveraging its maritime dominance to force structural changes in Western foreign policy. The proposed shared corridor with Oman introduces a temporary diplomatic framework, but the core conflict remains unresolved. To Australia now, leading with a pretty stark headline, Valley of Death. And they are reporting that 39 Australians are missing after that catastrophic flood in the border area between Nepal and Tibet. The front page features a series of photographs that you can see there showing locals, trekkers and rescue workers navigating these treacherous terrains alongside the images of the valley, which has been heavily damaged by floodwater with mud and debris. So the paper is saying it was triggered, the mudslide was triggered by a glacier collapse that sent a torrent of water crashing down into the valleys. And authorities describe the disaster as a literal wall of water or an inland tsunami of mud and debris. So there's an immense amount of concern in Australia right now, as many Australian trekkers are among hundreds of international tourists currently missing. The overall death toll is rapidly climbing towards 400, and local rescue teams are working around the clock under incredibly dangerous conditions. Right, now to The Guardian. It's focusing, it's covering the same tragedy with the headline, Race to Get Aid to Nepal and Tibet amid warnings of further floods. So hundreds of tourists are among the missing. They're also reporting that the death toll at the time of publication was nearing 400. The Guardian's focusing on the desperate international rush to deliver emergency assistance. The report is saying how the international community is scrambling to get emergency aid into these flood-stricken mountainous zones. The situation remains incredibly precarious because authorities have issued warnings that an unstable lake that was formed by these landslides is now at high risk of bursting, which would trigger even more deadly floods of water. So the destruction of dozens of bridges and over 25 miles of roads has completely cut off access to popular trekking routes, leaving the rescue teams to rely on entirely on helicopters to locate survivors and evacuate the injured and provide assistance. China also talking about this in the paper today. It's leading on the front page with an image of workers trying to repair one of the many broken roads after the deadly mudslide. The story features more heavily on the inner pages of the paper. The front page main story is AI adoption powering industrial profit growth. That lead story highlights that China's industrial profits maintained double-digit growth in the first 7 months of the year. Economists are attributing this robust expansion to the rapid adoption of artificial intelligence across the industrial sector. So this technological upgrade has triggered massive demand in computing power, boosting high-tech manufacturers by over 50%. So while overall profit growth did moderate slightly in July due to shifting domestic demand, the broader story here is telling us how AI integration is successfully stabilizing and upgrading part of China's core industrial supply chains. Now, Bangladesh is moving away from the main story that many papers are covering today. They've gone with PM Tariq Rahman to visit Turkey for COP summit in November. So the papers are saying that he's announced this during a meeting with Turkey's Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs on the sideline of a meeting in Jeddah. The two sides also discussed regional developments and expressed readiness to work closely on issues of mutual interest. Okay, to India and the Hindustan Times. PM heads to Uzbekistan, SCO summits, key bilaterals likely. So the paper leads with a major diplomatic push by New Delhi as Prime Minister Narendra Modi embarks on a high-stakes regional tour. Prime Minister Modi is headed out on a 4-day visit to Uzbekistan and Kyrgyzstan, where he will attend the crucial Shanghai Cooperation Organization summit. A massive talking point is the scheduled bilateral meeting on the sidelines with Russian President Vladimir Putin to review the full scope of the India-Russia relationship.